Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Axel James Wave.
Yo, Abla, yo luta do dede. Luta mo nulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Busel mu fay.
What?
Busel mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Axina Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave. Busel mu fine? Wave. Your money is yours.
But in a rearranged running order, we are going straight into our weekly rendezvous with the Minister of Information, Media and Broadcasting, Dr. Ismail Assise. Good morning and thanks for coming on so early, Doctor. Where are you off to this morning?
Well, I have two events this morning, one at 9 o'clock at Nana. The Ministry of Information, Media and Broadcasting Services is working with UNICEF to create stories for kids.
Oh.
So instilling the right values, but also for them to understand child's rights issues. It's an animation series, so we are launching it this morning. Then at the same time, the new Minister of Foreign Affairs, Serigne Modou Njie, is inviting the diplomatic community to a breakfast this morning in Banjul at 10 o'clock, and I've been invited to attend that one as well.
Is that normal practice? Did Tangara do that when he just assumed the post?
Well, I wasn't here when Tangara assumed the post, so I wouldn't know. I know Serigne Modou is a very proactive, very innovative guy. And I think this is it's a good start for him to get to know the diplomatic community. So I think this is a good start.
Okay, so there's a budget for such things?
There should be an entertainment budget. Some ministries have it. Some, it depends. Some of them, Foreign Affairs should have it because Foreign Affairs hosts a lot of guests. So obviously, they should have an entertainment budget that deals with those kind of
but
issues.
if he comes in and the first thing he does is to spend the entertainment budget, what happens when, foreign dignitaries come and he has to entertain them?
No, this will not exhaust the entertainment budget. I don't know how much is in the entertainment budget, but I know that obviously he wouldn't use all the entertainment budget for a breakfast.
The entire diplomatic corps, that has to be some expensive breakfast morning.
But expensive, I don't know how much. I wouldn't know how expensive it is. I wouldn't know the cost involved or where the money will come from. What I can confirm is that is organizing a breakfast meeting with the diplomatic community. It's a kind of get to know the diplomatic community, and it's a good way to introduce yourself as Foreign Affairs Minister.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying what he is doing is wrong. It's just that it's good sometimes to know the cost element involved. Of course, he has to network, and there's no better way.
Of course.
We wish him good luck.
Thank you.
All right, let's start with the updates before the questions start
we have
flying in from the audience.
I just heard something that I found very interesting. That
in the headlines?
Exactly. I'm not sure. I didn't read the details, but it's very funny that they'll report Barrow to the ECOWAS court for an economic coup.
Well, they're asking ECOWAS to do something immediately because of the recent decision in the NPP-dominated National Assembly to hike the election fees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It is from that context.
Yes, it is from that context.
That is not an economic coup. How would you call it an economic coup?
Well, they are calling it an economic coup. You should ask them, not me.
That's a misplaced phrase. Anyway, the first update is from the presidency. We all know the passing of Muhammadu Buhari, former president of Nigeria. Therefore, His Excellency, the President Adama Barrow, extends his condolences to the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on the passing of Muhammadu Buhari, who passed this past Sunday. The Gambia stands in solidarity with Nigeria during this very difficult time of mourning. And then the other news is also from the presidency. The public is informed that His Excellency, President Barrow, has appointed Mr. Joseph Colley as the new chairperson of the Independent Electoral Commission and Mr. Cherno M. Jallow as the deputy chairperson marking a significant development in the strengthening of our democratic institutions. And then the other news is also cabinet reassignment. I think the public is now aware that Honorable Serigne Modou Njie, formerly the Minister of Defense, has been reassigned to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation, and Gambians abroad as the new minister. The Vice President will now see the portfolio of the Minister of Defense until further notice. Now, the other update is interesting though. My very good friend, Honorable Hamad Nkeba, was at the Mansakunda last Friday, and I think I wouldn't do justice to his Mansakunda. I did a very outstanding performance, and I think some of the key things that came out, which I think the public has appreciated, is the new land policy, which will focus on digitalization of land records, customary tenure formalization, gender equity in land ownership, environmental safeguards, community engagement in planning. Then, yeah, I think these ones are. But also, he wants to reform the Hajj, coming up with a new Hajj policy.
Yeah, I'm reading somewhere that he intends to make Hajj affordable for all Gambians.
Yes.
You think that's possible?
Affordable. I think what he has observed when he came was that some people were manipulating the whole Hajj package and increasing their prices every year. There was no control. I think the new policy will make sure that are control safeguards so that everybody who wants to go can afford it. But also another thing that is interesting is that he is going to also regulate the real estate industry. Currently there is no regulation. Real estate agents proliferate anyhow.
That needs
and
to
they
be
do whatever they want to do. And I think they are fast-tracking efforts to make sure that that also is regulated. Then, and finally, this is from the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology. My Professor Gomez, is working very hard. And recently, a landmark legislation was passed in Parliament. It's called the Students Revolving Loan Scheme. Now, this will make higher education more accessible and inclusive for Gambians. So that now students who want to study at UTG, instead of getting free scholarship, some of them who are not eligible for free scholarship can get a loan that they'll pay once they start work and after finishing their education. But also the Islamic Development Bank has also approved $32.2 million for the establishment of the School of Medicine and Allied Health Sciences at the Farba Banta campus. This initiative will improve healthcare training quality, expand access to medical education, and strengthen healthcare service delivery. These are some of the key updates from government.
All right. If you'd like to question Dr. Cisse, the number is 77-11599, 77-11-599. We have him until 9 o'clock. If you don't engage him much, he'll leave the studio sooner. Let's go back to, the updates from the presidency. And Joseph Colley, put on your CA cap, not necessarily Minister of Information. How do you see him as? You've worked with him before as, deputy chair of the IEC. How do you see him?
Well, I think he's a very honest guy. He's a man of integrity. He is also well experienced. He's been working with the IEC for a very long time. He has deputized Ali Momar Njie for many, many, many years. So I cannot see any better appointment. I mean, the other option is to get someone from outside, which I don't think with the president's wisdom that didn't make sense, because we have someone who is inside, who knows the institution, who has been working with the institution, who knows everything about the institution, who's competent, who's trustworthy, who has integrity. And I don't see that much opposition to his appointment. I haven't seen any political party writing a protest or making a formal protest against his appointment, and I think that is encouraging.
Well, there have been criticism in some quarters.
Yeah, in some quarters.
Pointing to, you remember, this the audit that found that that found issues with financial management in the IEC, and some were saying because he was one of those that had monies deposited in their personal accounts. On that basis alone, he should have been discounted for the position.
People didn't understand the context. There was no financial management. It's not confirmed yet. The auditors flagged some anomalies in terms of the way the finances were handled, but these were just perceived anomalies. Like I said, and I'm going to repeat it here, audit reports are expert opinions, and whenever they see something that they think is not right, the police will investigate and find. But currently, those investigators don't prove that he's done any wrongdoing. So what was happening at that time was that during elections, some of the returning officers need money for operational costs. And because you cannot put the money into the IEC's account in these regions, sometimes they put it into the accounts of the returning officers. But they have to come back and account for every they've spent. So it doesn't mean that because the money was paid into his account for operational costs, it doesn't mean that he used it personally. Yes, perhaps that is not best practice to put money into private people's accounts, personal accounts. But under those circumstances, if that was the only solution for them to get the cash, because they don't want to move with physical cash, that also wouldn't make sense. And because they couldn't use IEC accounts in the regions as well to withdraw the money, maybe they thought that was the best way to do it. So for me, I haven't seen anything anywhere where Mr. Joe Colley has been adversely mentioned in any investigation for financial wrongdoing. Until that happens, for now, I think he's good to go.
Let's start with the questions from the listeners. Good morning, Uncle Peter. I would like to thank the Honorable Minister for including sign language interpreter in the Mansakunda program. Despite this achievement, please tell him to work with the director of GRTS to employ sign language interpreters in GRTS for inclusivity. Deaf and hard of hearing community too deserve to know what's happening in the country. Thank you from Ibrahim Acham, sign language interpreter, Secretary General Association of Sign Language Interpreters. This is an old request.
Of course, and I've had this discussion with the DG on numerous occasions, and plans are underway. I would appreciate, in fact, I'd like to have a meeting with the Sign Language Association, because as far as we are concerned as a ministry, in line with our mandate to provide access to information to every Gambian, regardless of where you live, regardless of your ability, we are working hard to make sure that happens. And all the institutions working under us must adopt a policy to ensure that there is equitable access to information. So I'd like to have a meeting with if you can forward me his number, I'll organize a meeting with them to see what we can do together to make sure that information reaches everybody, no matter your ability or disability.
Well, I can proudly say that, my parish, St. Kizito's parish here at Bakote, we have not one, but 2 sign language interpreters.
It's important because I think empirical evidence suggests that 15% of our population live with one or other form of disability. It could be hard of hearing, it could be visual impairment, it could be anything. And I think we sometimes tend to forget these 15% in terms of their access to buildings, access to information, access to services. And I think it's important we mainstream some of these issues into the budget. We mainstream it into our policies and also in our legislation. It's important.
I'm also very proud to say that at St. Kizito's Catholic Church Bakote, where I worship every Sunday, we have a ramp.
Oh, okay.
Leading easily, into the church. So
and we forget, Peter, to factor this in our buildings. And I've seen buildings in this country. I'm not criticizing an institution, but I think
start with West Coast Radio here.
Yeah. I think when it comes to access but not only that, even safety. I've seen people building houses in this country where they burglar-proof the bottom floor, burglar-proof second floor, burglar-proof third floor, everything, all the windows. So you have only one exit. Sometimes even you go to public buildings, you look at the fire safety protocols there, 0. I think inspectors should start working and inspecting some of these buildings that are not fit for purpose, because there's a fine line between safety and security. Yes, you want to stop thieves from entering your house, but also think about your own safety. But I think these are things that we'll start to discuss as a country, as people, to make sure that we also factor in people with disability.
People are discussing
and I'm happy that your parish has taken measures to ensure that people with disability also have access to the church.
Yeah. Well, access to the church building, but people, hard of hearing, can also follow the readings, the sermon, whatever is going on in the church, because we have sign language interpreters. If one is not present, the other one always is. Good morning, Uncle Peter. Please ask Doctor the reason why our international airport is infested with too many cats roaming around in the arrival and departure lounges.
Well, cats are our friends.
Hello.
For me,
Hello.
I mean, they have a right to exist
Come
as well.
on.
They have a right to exist. I mean, cats are not dangerous. They are not. For me, I mean, as long as they are not being a nuisance to the public, they are going about their business. It shows that we are a cat animal-friendly country.
Seriously?
What are they doing wrong? I mean, you go to other countries, people live with cats in their houses.
Those are pets.
Yeah, but I mean, this is our this is Gambia. This is Africa.
These are wild cats roaming.
No, they're not wild. Cats are not wild. Cats are domestic animals. They're not wild. I mean, wild cats are there in the bush. These are domestic cats that feel that maybe they want to also travel, so they're trying their chance at the airport. But on a more serious note, Peter, I haven't seen any cat at the airport. If one appears once in a while going about their own business and they are not a nuisance, I mean, why?
I must admit, I just came from the airport last Wednesday and I didn't see a
I didn't see any
single
cat,
yet.
exactly. So, but on a more serious, I haven't seen any cat there.
It's not to suggest that cats are not a problem at the airport. I'm simply saying I was last at the airport on Wednesday. I did not see a
I've
single
never seen
cat.
a cat. Maybe on one occasion a cat appears here and then disappears again, and then maybe this particular person has an experience where he sees a cat there. That doesn't suggest that airport is cat infested. Yeah. Cat infested means that when you go to the airport, every corner you can't miss them. You can't miss them. Yeah. And I've traveled recently quite a lot, both in and out. I haven't seen any cat or mice or rats at the airport.
He only stopped at cats, unless maybe you are insinuating something.
Wherever there are cats, there are mice.
All right. Good morning, Uncle Peter. Can you ask the Minister if Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education will appoint teachers this coming September? Let them stop the so-called defending method and employ the youth sitting down with qualifications. Let the Minister be the person we are expecting her to be, please. And this is Eddie. If you're suggesting the Minister should be the one to answer this question, well, why direct it to the Minister of Information then?
Well, I'll forward it to the Minister. I'll ask her if they'll appoint teachers.
Okay. Please ask the Minister if the government will allow Elon Musk's Starlink to operate in the Gambia. This is coming from Modu Aliu.
Well, I think
there's a lot of talk around this Starlink thing.
Starlink has applied for a license, and the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy, in line with regulatory procedures, are looking at this application. And then I think once they are satisfied that the license should be given, they'll give the license. There is no reason not to give the license where all the regulatory compliances are met. So I think the ministry is working hard to make sure that they deal with the situation.
Okay. There was a recent headline suggesting that government is trying to pressure this new minister into approving, the Starlink thing, because the pressure is coming. The U.S. government
is trying to pressure.
Yes, the pressure is coming from Washington. It's trying to pressure the Gambia into approving the Starlink deal, despite reservations by the minister.
Well, it depends on what you mean by pressure. If there is a specific...
Pressure is pressure.
That's what I'm saying. But pressure is also subject. You mean...
And Mr. Trump, he can simply say, well, okay, Gambia, you are on 10% tariff now. If you don't approve this Starlink thing, I'll take you to 25.
I'm not aware of any such diplomatic pressure. I'm not aware. Maybe Trump, I'm not sure who is doing the pressure. I cannot talk about the pressure. What I can confirm here that I'm aware of is that the Minister, Honorable Lamin Jabi, is working hard.
You promised to bring him to the program.
Yes, it's difficult to bring him.
Yeah,
but I'll try.
He is not responsive.
I think he's been very busy, but I think I'll try to get him to the program so he can explain more about these issues. But like I said, as a country, we have our regulations, and I think if you apply for a license of any type, it's important that the due diligence is done. It's important that all the regulatory compliances are met before we issue the license. And we're a sovereign state, nobody can pressure us into giving licenses because we have to give license. So he's doing what he's supposed to do, and once he's satisfied that Starlink should get the license, I don't see any reason why he should deny them the license.
What are some of the due diligence issues? What is the you've manned that ministry before, however briefly. If you were the minister, what would you be looking for?
Well, one of the things it has to do with security. Obviously, you have a satellite that is beaming over the country. Mm-hmm. It's not like it's a gateway. In the gateway, you know exactly what comes in, what goes out. With satellite, it's difficult to know exactly what's there. In terms of data, personal data issues, in terms of tax also issues, you don't know who's connected to it and who's not connected. So all these things must be dealt with, so that, because remember, we have existing MNOs in the country. We have existing mobile network operators in the country, who have existing business in this country with physical buildings, employing thousands of Gambians, paying the right taxes. Now, if you want to bring a competitor, they must also be able to compete on the same playing level as those existing. Now, if you want to bring a competitor and you don't follow regulatory compliance, is to ensure that they compete equally with these people, that will bring unfair competition, and all these things needs to be put into place so that when they come, they also compete equally. Government's position is not to protect the MNOs. No, government's position is that there should be fair competition for everybody who's in the market, and when they come, they're going to do the same thing as those already existing in the market. Now, if you have a system where you don't know how many customers they have in the Gambia, then you wouldn't know how many tax they should pay. They should have a physical presence in the country to ensure that at least customers have complaints where they should go to. So all these things must be put in place, and due diligence will be done, because Starlink is in many African countries. They're in Rwanda, they're in Ghana, in Sierra Leone. So government has to go and see how those countries are dealing with some of these critical questions. How is Rwanda dealing with these questions? How is Ghana dealing with these questions? Come back and see what fits us. Because remember, satellite internet is new technology. And one of the challenges we can also have is that our regulations don't have room for these new technologies, because regulations were made, let's say, 5, 10, 15 years ago when there was no satellite technology. So we need to also look at that. Does these new technologies fit within our regulations? If not, how do we now amend these regulations to fit? So all these things take some time.
So PURA must be heavily involved in the negotiations.
Of course, because PURA is the regulatory authority.
Okay. Hi, good morning, Uncle Peter. My question is about the justice system. Why is justice always delayed?
Well, it's not delayed because government wants to delay justice. And remember, Peter, there are 3 arms in a democracy. We have the executive, we have the judiciary, and we have the legislature. Now, with the judiciary, it is headed by a chief justice. And then there are challenges clearly. The courts sometimes are overwhelmed. Still, the judges and the magistrates they take notes and they write judgments. We're not using technology. And sometimes delays can happen. But I think they are working to kind of digitize the court systems now as we speak. I remember having a Ministry of Justice at the last month, Sakunda, where he talked about that, some of these challenges. Why? Because someone asked a specific question to the minister, that why are they delayed? It's not like it's deliberate. There are clearly challenges there. Because remember, when the proceedings are on, the judges will be writing the statements from the prosecution or from the witnesses. Then they have to go back to chambers, look at this, read it. All these things can take time. We don't have transcription devices in the courts, whereby when people are talking, it records automatically. And we are working to ensure that happens. So, and also the courts have been overwhelmed recently, particularly with land cases. And remember, if you have, for example, let's just take an analogy. Let's go to the hospitals. If you have a capacity of 10 hospital beds and 10 doctors, and all of a sudden there is an explosion of people who need healthcare, obviously there's a problem. And that is what has happened also in the justice system. Recently, we've seen an explosion of cases that doesn't really match with the available capacity in terms of judges, magistrates, and courtrooms. And government is working on that. And these are some of the things that we've inherited recently. We've seen an explosion in society. We've seen many things happening after Jammeh left. many people now are free to go to court. Under Jammeh, many people wouldn't even want to go to court when they have cases. But now, because we have the democracy now, there's the courts have now been trusted. The justice people have now trust in the justice system as opposed to before. Before, people have just trust in the justice system. You're like, there's no point. But now people have trust in the justice system. This is an independent judiciary where even the government loses cases in court. So now because people have trust in the system now, many people, their cases to the courts. And we have not been following up in making sure that we also increase the capacity of the courtrooms, of the more courtrooms, more judges, more magistrates. So sometimes you'll have one magistrate or one judge having to deal with many cases. And how do you now navigate your way making this? But government is aware of these things, and we are working hard to make sure that that is why now we are going to create a special tribunal for land issues as well. So that land issues are not taken from the mainstream courts. There's a special tribunal. We are working on that as well, because we know that a huge chunk of the cases are land cases and they take time. So it's important we create a special tribunal, train some special judges that understand land jurisprudence, so that we can also reduce the pressure when it comes to the case in the courts.